First on CBS This Morning, a new report says U.S. schools are not doing enough to protect students from drinking water contaminated with lead. The report found, quote, a pattern of widespread contamination of drinking water at schools nationwide. There's currently no federal rule requiring schools to test their drinking water for lead if they get their water from a public water system. Anna Werner shows how one group is pushing schools and the federal government to take action. Anna, good morning.
Good morning. Well, just 9 states and Washington, D.C. have mandatory testing laws. A government study last year found only 43% of school districts said they test for lead in drinking water. About a third of those districts said they found elevated levels of lead. And many parents likely have no idea their children may be drinking it.
Again?
In her Boston home, Julie Ma preps water bottles for her 5- and 6-year-old daughters to take to school the next day. Their elementary school's water fountains were turned off due to lead contamination.
We had gotten a letter from the superintendent saying that her school was one of the schools that tested above the 15 parts per billion, and that as a precaution they were turning off all water fountains, even though it was only one fountain that was tested.
That was 3 years ago. Since then, the district has brought in bottled water for students to drink.
It's concerning. I really would like to get the lead out of the water supply as fast as possible for the students. Many schools don't even know if they have it and haven't been able to make those changes.
She's right. A new review of school drinking water standards in 31 states and the District of Columbia finds regulations in most states are too weak to protect children from lead contamination in their school's water. John Rumpler co-authored the report.
Of the 32 states, including the District of Columbia that we surveyed, 22 of them are failing to protect their kids from lead in drinking water.
22.
Correct.
The problem? The group says it's the fixtures, fountains, faucets, and other parts that contain lead. The report cites an Ohio school drinking fountain that had more than 100 times the EPA's lead action level for tap water, an Illinois school at 212 times that level, and one drinking fountain at a Massachusetts school with nearly 1,500 times the lead action level. All of those have been replaced. But the group is pushing for all schools to simply get the lead out by replacing fixtures or, at a minimum, installing and maintaining filters on every faucet or fountain used for cooking and drinking.
Do you not think that some school districts are going to say, look, we're pressed for funds as it is? How are we going to do that?
First, not every solution is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So filters are, $100, $200. Some of them are even less. So that's a low-cost solution. But you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, not all communities are going to be able to tackle this problem on their own. And that's why we're excited to see states that are stepping up and showing leadership in helping communities invest in reducing this problem.
But Rumpler says the federal government needs to step up too, with more funding and a stricter standard for lead, since children's health experts agree that no amount of lead is safe for children. On Wednesday, EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler told CBS News he plans to update drinking water regulations.
Regulation that hasn't been updated in over 20 years. And this is a proposal that we're going to be putting out this summer that I think is going to help a lot of areas make sure and ensure the public that they have safe drinking water.
Wheeler says as part of that, the EPA will look at the possibility of requiring testing for school drinking water. Now, if you're a parent and you want information about your child's school, you'll have to reach out to your school district. Again, pediatric experts say there is no safe level of lead exposure for children. It impacts their growth and their learning.
And I think most parents would have thought schools must test for lead, right?
Yeah, I think so too. I think parents think that just as a matter of course, they're going to test the water in their
Especially
schools.
after what we saw in Michigan and Flint, what have you, that this would be a national issue.
Right. And sometimes the testing's tricky too, because just because it's tested doesn't mean that there's no lead in it.
Anybody talking about a database that parents can go to find out, hey, my school was checked?
Wouldn't that be a great idea?
Yes.
And I don't think it exists anywhere so far.
That's why they say never assume, because it makes a blank out of blank and blank. Yeah.
Thank you, Anna Werner.